March is Women's History Month. And of course, on a call to action, and I'm your host, Alex Havisham, what we try to do, we try to stay connected with what's going on in the community. And when there are certain months or when there is an emphasis on certain activities, we of course try to engage and publicize it. Well, today, this show is kind of like a double whammy because, we've got a phenomenal young lady who's a history maker, and she's associated with an organization that's also a history maker. So we are so happy today to have, during March Women's History Month, Miss Gwen Westbrook, who is a phenomenal young lady and has contributed so much to the community as the president of the local chapter of the NAACP. And she's always involved. She's always working. She's always engaged in activities and rights for people. And I know that they call her every day, and she's always got some kind of initiative going. So before we talk to her, I just want to publicly thank her for all that she does.
You're
this
welcome.
Is a volunteer position, and she does so much and dedicates so much time to this phenomenal organization. So I'm just giving a personal and a community shout out to Miss Gwenette Westbrook, the local president of the NAACP. How you doing, Miss Westbrook?
I'm doing fine. How you doing?
I'm outstanding. And again, thank you for all you do. So let's talk a little bit about you. I know all you do, but what I would like to do, when I interview people like you, I try to get a little background, because what we gotta do, we gotta motivate our young people. We gotta let them know that we got to continue the legacy. We gotta let them, although you and I both would like to be here, but we gotta let them know that we are not gonna be here forever.
Right, that's
but
true.
The legacy continues, the saga continues, and the need for involvement continues. So talk a little bit about yourself and how you kind of became involved and became the kind of person who would dedicate so much time and effort to such a phenomenal organization.
Well, Mr. Havisham, it started at a very young age. My mother was always coming to me and having me do things for people in our community, such as the elderly people, filling out paperwork, helping them do things. So that's how it started. So I knew at a very young age that I would be engaged in doing something to help people, because it's something that my mother instilled in me at a very young age. And so in my employment career, started my employment career, I needed the NAACP, and I actually reached out to them, and they were there for me. So I joined the NAACP and committed myself and dedicated myself to helping others just as they had helped me. So this is something that I've been doing for a very long time, helping people at a very young age, as early as age 15. So this is something I've been doing basically all my life.
That is so outstanding. I think we need to pay particular attention, because one thing that you just said, carries a whole lot of weight. That's giving back.
Yes,
that's recognizing, people and projects and programs and organizations that help us, and that in order for them to continue, we don't need short memories as it relates to that.
Right.
And we need to give back. So actually, where did you start, before you became president? Kind of how did you first get involved?
I actually started out as just a regular member. I ended up becoming the secretary, and then I started working with, I ended up going stepped down. I actually was assistant vice president. The first vice president. I ended up stepping down for a little bit because I went back to school to get my paralegal. And so I came back in the role of legal redress, the chairperson of legal redress. And after that, I became the vice president again. And then I became the president. Now, this is my 4th term as president.
Well, now you know what that means. This is your fourth term, Ms. Westbrook. That must mean that you're doing a phenomenal job. So how long is the term?
The terms is 2 years. It's a 2-year term, so you have to be re-elected by the members every 2 years.
Yeah, that means that you are doing an outstanding job.
Yes, sir.
We want to talk about 2 things here, 2 other things.
Okay.
First of all, we want to talk about, well, I'll tell you what both of them are. One of them is you want to kind of walk the community through the kind of things in which the NAACP is involved. Just talk about, I know you work with employment and rent and a whole lot of other stuff, because what we need to do, now let me tell you what the mission is instead of getting you to talk about that.
Okay.
The mission and the objective is to let people know that they need to support the NAACP.
Yes, we do.
We don't need to forget, how important the organization is to the community and how much it takes a village. Although you dedicated and you've been doing it since you were 15, blah, 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 but you cannot do it all by yourself. So talk about some of that.
That's true.
Talk about some of that activities.
So the NAACP, the Macon branch, is established. What we do, we have committees that we work with, and we have the criminal justice, we have the health, education, housing. We always have our youth. We do have a youth and a college. We have a youth and a college chapter also. So we have a college chapter on the Mercer campus, and we do have a youth chapter also. And so like I said, we deal with housing, education, criminal justice. We deal with voter empowerment, voter education, economic development, political action, which is normally deals with our political action is dealing with our voting, education and registration. And so we deal with labor and industry, which normally deals with employment. So those are the different committees that we have. And so when complaints come in reference to any of those particular committees, those complaints are handed to those committees so we can actually work. The president actually sits on all the committees. So we normally do an investigation to determine whether or not there's sufficient information for us to actually do the complaint. We always give them a complaint form to sign for our purpose and for their purpose also. So these are things that basically everything that's dealing with society today, the NAACP is involved, have committees to cover all of that.
That is so outstanding. And you've got people who are heading up those committees and people who are involved. Are there any specific initiatives that are going on now? Are there any particular efforts or programs that are current that you would like to discuss?
Yes, what we're doing right now, we partnered with the Georgia Department of Community Affairs. We're in the process of doing that to help people with get signed up for rental assistance. We do know that the evictions, there's a very high rate of turnover of people being evicted from their homes, especially since the memorandum has been lifted. And so we've been working with that. We actually just went to court with some tenants for the past week, trying to make sure that they are not evicted from their housing. And we've gotten some special funds set up where we've gotten some donations from people, because sometimes, like in the process, we're having to trace people money order. Some people say they paid their rent and they don't have proof of it. And so we're having to trace money orders to, sometimes it takes money for us to be able to help the tenants prove that they've paid their rent or whatever. So we're in the process of doing that. Also, we're dealing with our voter education and registration. What we've started to do because of the new law that was passed, Senate Bill 202, we've begun to start making copies of people's IDs, or at least 2 copies for them to be able to request an application for absentee, and then being able to submit their actual absentee ballot. So there will not be an issue as to whether or not their identification, their ID matches. So we're going ahead and making copies for those. We're sitting at different locations, making copies of people that normally vote absentee ballot to make sure that they have the proper information they need to submit those applications and those absentees.
That is so outstanding and support. Well, talk a little bit, and I know that you want to take a minute or two to encourage people. You know, you're spending all this time for, you know, to try to make sure people are, you know, have what they need to vote. You know, would you just emphasize to the community the relevance and the importance of voting? If it were not important, then you all would not have that as a topic. You would not have it as a mainstay.
Yes.
You would not have it as a committee. You would not
Right.
do everything. So just because, you know, one thing that bothers me, and I know it's the mission of the NAACP to try to uplift the community, you
Yes.
know, the Black community, but the entire community also. And that one role that we all can play in doing that is voting. So just take a minute to encourage people to vote, if you would.
Yes, and we're encouraging everybody to vote that or that are able to vote, because what we're seeing is that, you know, people, we have a lot of time, Mr. Habersham, people say that, well, you know, our vote doesn't matter. And so if our vote did not matter, people would not go to the extent that they're going to suppress our vote. And so, you know, we have to, our voting, voting is and a lot of time people look at it as, well, you know, I have a choice, but you really don't have a choice. You know, if you're able to vote, you really need to vote. We've encouraged people, even people are still not educated on, you know, whether they're able to vote. We're encouraging people that have criminal records to register to vote. If you've done all your time, paid your fines, they're still not educated. They still think that they're not able to vote, and they are able to restore their voting rights. Even people that are incarcerated, if you are incarcerated and you've been charged with a felony, if you have not actually been convicted, you're still able to vote, be able to cast your ballot. Even people with misdemeanors think that just because they're incarcerated, they're not able to vote, and they are. So we want people to exercise their right. This is one of our strengths that we have. Voting is a tool, is a power, that one tool that we have, that we can make a change and make a difference, because we see what happened in this last election. People actually got out and voted. And I'm telling people, if you want change, you can make the decision who you want in office, when you want them in office, because we have the voting power to make that happen. So don't think for 1 minute that your voting does not matter, because it does matter. People would not go through the depth that they're going to keep us from voting if our vote did not matter.
Oh, that is so outstanding. Very well said, and I appreciate it. Okay, let's talk about what people can do. You know, let's talk about what areas, you know, the community can provide assistance to the chapter for all that you all are doing.
Yes, and we want people to join the NAACP. Mr. Habersham, you have no idea how the phone rings. People give my number out a lot of times, and how much help that people need. We're always, you know, visiting, making contact with the jail, because somebody is always complaining about, you know, the conditions or whatever dealing with criminal justice and all these areas that I talked about. And so we're asking for people to join, to become a member, not just to become a member, but to actually work in this organization, because it's a lot of work involved in it. It's a lot of, we have people here, we're volunteers. No one is paid in this organization here in Macon-Bibb. The NAACP is a volunteer organization. So we just ask for you to join and to give back to the community, because, you know, what we do, we've been able to help a lot of people. A lot of times we're not in the media, and we don't have to be in the media to resolve a lot of issues. We was just meeting, want to mention yesterday, where we had some employment issues, where we had some people that were being racially, some racial things that occurred at work, and they were, to the extent that they didn't feel comfortable working there, didn't feel for their safety there. And so when we met on yesterday, we were able to, you know, do some things behind the scene as far as guarantee them their unemployment if they decided they didn't want to come back. So those are the things that to give them the opportunity to draw their unemployment till they can find something else, and make sure that was put in writing. And so those are the type of things that we work with. And we will deal with the racial issues, because people shouldn't have to be put in an environment where don't feel comfortable and not able to work. So those are the type of issues we deal with. So that's why we ask for people to join, because it's a lot of work. It's volunteer work, and we need everybody on hands on deck to be able to work with us to resolve these issues. Because like I say, it takes a lot of time if you do it right. And we have members that spend a lot of time and work hard in this organization to help other people. So we just ask for you to join. The membership is only $30 a year. And so we ask for you to join with us, because we're living in a time now where a lot of things that we're dealing with, we dealt with 50 or 60 years ago. We're dealing with some of the same issues. So you don't know what day or what time or hour things that are affecting our society may affect you. So just be a part of the solution and not part of the problem.
That's outstanding. Now, how can one join, and what's the process of joining?
Yeah, you can join online. You can go to the NAACP.com website. You could join online. You just need to make sure, if you're going to be associated with the Macon-Bibb branch, our membership, our branch number is 5215. But you can reach out to us by phone. Our phone number is 478-745-9944. And you can leave your name and number, request and leave your address. We can mail you an actual application form. You can send your check back with the application, and we will actually enter and get your membership submitted.
Okay, now, although you don't do a lot of advertising and marketing, I think it's important,
Yes.
for you to, ask the community to help you sing that song, tell somebody about all of the good things that the NAACP is doing. And, I think it's important, and you may want to talk a little bit more about this. I just happen to be old enough to remember the role that the NAACP played years ago.
Yes.
And I was telling somebody yesterday, and then we've made a lot of progress. I think that you
have,
and that you're not saying that no progress has been made. But I use that, and I interview Commissioner Lucas, for Women's History Month, and I just happened to remind her that, we were talking about how some things have changed. And I said, well, I grew up in Tyndall Heights, and I went from not being able to go, and Mercer University was right across the street from where I grew up.
Yes.
And I couldn't even go on Mercer's campus because I was not a janitor there. But then I go from not being able to go on the campus to being awarded the game ball at a Mercer basketball game.
That's true. And some people, you were not even able to join the NAACP in some jobs. You were not able to even be a member of the NAACP. And so we've come a long way, like you said, but we still have a lot of things that we need to work on.
Yeah, that's very true. And talking about things to work on, I want to remind the community that with the objective, the purpose, the mission of a call to action, and all of the guests who are on Macon's Call to Action is to inform and educate and motivate the community. And then you can find us on YouTube, Alex Habersham YouTube. You can find us on MaconCallToAction.com. We're on social media. We even on podcasts. They got my voice on podcasts. So we even got podcasts. So we just want to encourage everybody to.
And so I wanted to even tell people about, we have a radio show also, which is called the NAACP Truth, that you can actually listen in every week, every Monday from at 4:00. And we give a lot of good information out to the community that will be helpful to them. A lot of times it's information that will be helpful to the their life, as far as education wise, money wise, things that will be able to help them maybe have a better life of living. So we give out a lot of information that I think that's helpful to the community. Right. And then we're always in training and keeping up with what's going on and what's available. A lot of times people don't know what's available to them until someone tells them what they're entitled to, or what is available for. Okay, what station are you on? We're on WDDO. Okay. The Glory. Yes, sir. That's outstanding. Now, suppose somebody just wants to donate. You know what I'm saying? Yes, sir. Is it possible for the NAACP to be supported financially by community members, etc.? We welcome that. We like I said, we're a nonprofit organization, and we have to actually raise our money, the monies that we have. We have to raise the money that we have, and so we welcome any type of donations that are provided to us, and those funds are normally put back in the community as outreach to help the different committees that we're working on. Like I say, sometimes we do open record requests and different things like that. It take money to do that. When we're like I say, with housing, a lot of times we have to do things and request information and in order for us to be able to help the tenants. So it does take funding. So we appreciate any fundraise. We do have a Cash App. We have the PayPal also set up, and you can also mail a check to Macon-Bibb NAACP, Post Office Box 6452, Macon, Georgia 31208. That's outstanding. Do you know that Cash App by heart? If not, we'll put it up on the screen. It's $ Macon-Bibb NAACP. That's easy enough. That's easy enough. Well, again, Ms. Gwenette Westbrook, 4 times president, re-elected for the local chapter of the NAACP, that has been involved in so many things. And then I'm glad that you said that you're not necessarily in it for publicity. A whole lot of times you're doing things behind the scenes without people knowing, except the people who have been affected. But people are affected every day. And then you and I both, and then I'll make one more comment, and you can also are very, very, you see, politicians make policy. Right. And then we are governed by the policies that politicians make. Mm-hmm. And if you want policies made that favor you,
then you have to engage in the process of electing politicians. I think, and then you can comment on this, Ms. Westbrook, but I think it's an absolute shame, frankly, that what people had to go through for us to be able to vote, to have vote rights, the way that John Lewis got his head beat
Yes,
like it was
yes,
a piece of okra,
yes.
Bless his soul and his heart, for us to be able to vote. So we have a duty and a responsibility to vote, to
We
register
do, we do, we do.
and vote. So,
And I can't express it enough.
yeah.
Can't express it enough.
Yeah, and so that's very important. Well, I just want to again thank and congratulate you for all that you do. You're so deserving of being featured as a young lady who's making a difference, because in Women's History Month, we want to feature people who are making a difference, and you are certainly one of them.
Thank you so much for your recognition. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'll give you a minute to just make a parting statement, whatever you want to say.
Well, I want to thank you, Mr. Habersham, for recognizing me, and I want to thank the community for their support. A lot of times we're in when you're doing things, sometimes you have to stand alone depending on what issues that you're dealing with, and sometimes we do, but we ask for ministers, we ask for this community to support this organization. A lot years ago, the churches were the forefront of the NAACP, and we need for you all to stand with us, because we're living in a time now where we're trying to be taken back 60 years ago, and so we have to stand strong and stand firm in what we believe in, and we have to continue to fight for what's right and fight for all the injustices. So again, I ask for this community to continue, for their continued support and what the NAACP is trying to do.
That is so outstanding, and congratulations again. We want to ask the community to like our pages on MaconCallToAction.com, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, because all of the shows, Miss Westbrook's show and other shows, will be on YouTube, and you can copy the link and send it to your friends and your neighbors and your cousin them.
Yes.
And everybody else. But be sure to keep in mind that your vote is needed and your support is needed.
We need your support
for this phenomenal historical organization that has made a measurable difference in our life and in our community. This is a call to action. I'm your host, Alex Habersham, having interviewed Ms. Gwenette Westbrook, who is the full-time president of the local chapter of the NAACP. Thanks for all you do. Have a great day.
www.makingblackpages.com